that I'm going to ask for a mover to open the ordinary council meeting. If that is endorsed, then I will ask a mover to adjourn the ordinary council meeting until the end of the special council meeting. So, can I have someone to move that we open?
No, you declare it open.
Oh, sorry. I declare that the ordinary council meeting is open. Do I have a mover to adjourn the ordinary council meeting till the end of the special council meeting? Thank you, Councillor Dykstra. Seconded, Councillor Adams. Is there any opposition? If not, I put that motion. All those in favour? That is carried unanimously. We will now resume with the special council meeting.
In 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes at 5:45. Councillor McNish, can you please take your seat? Okay, thank you for your patience, everybody. We will now resume the special council meeting, the consideration of item 7.1, and we have a foreshadowed alternate motion from Councillor McNish, which is now in play. If Councillor McNish gets a seconder. Councillor McNish, would you like to put your alternate recommendation, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I think Liam has it on the screen, and I'm going to tweak it the smallest amount, the amount of 0.8% actually. If Liam could put up the slightly amended foreshadowed motion, that represents a 6.2% rate increase. And that means that the difference between 7 and 6.2, 0.8% rate increase, has to be funded somehow. And if you go down to Part D, I've reworded Part D to ensure that 0.8% is funded now. 2025-26 end of financial year surplus be deposited into the City of Busselton municipal account, equating to 0.8% rate increase, and the balance into the sport and recreation reserve. So I'm moving that, which seems to get the best of both worlds. Structural reform in the service review ahead of us, giving the new CEO targets, deals with tightening up salt water, and gives people the 6.2 rate increase that some of the councillors thought was beneficial to give.
Thank you, Councillor McNish. You have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Ryan. Councillor McNish, you'd like to speak to your motion. You have 5 minutes.
Well, hopefully it won't take 5 minutes. Some of my esteemed elected members thought 6.2% was a good rate to cast in the current financial year. Okay, that has to be funded from the original 7 in the long-term financial plan. That is now funded in the change wording of Part D, where the rest of the end of financial year surplus of 961k will still go into the Sport and Rec Reserve, because, like I said before, we originally thought Sport and Rec was going to need 38 million and now needs 150 million. So we just have to keep pursuing that number one community priority. It's good to see that the Jetty Reserve, for anyone who doesn't understand, we now are able to get insurance for our jetty, and the deductible's $500,000, so we can take the extra 400. Now, what do we do with that? The staff, the new CEO is going to need some investment in the ICT system. We need our system to be more efficient. And they're crying out for it, but we just couldn't find any money within the 7% for that. So here is some money to start using that, and we need to keep up with the rest of the world in looking at if and how AI can help make what we do more efficient. Salt water is Part 2B. It needs its own reserve so that we can couple the oversight of the operational management of it with the long-term expenditure needed to replace that asset. It is a big ticket item, and it needs its own set of books to be forwarded to the Strategic Projects Committee every quarter. It's the number one item on the Strategic Projects Committee, so it needs to be a standing item with that report, including the reserve, every quarter. Now, Part C, there is to be more costs, more capital costs to salt water, and in isolating or quarantining the cost centre for salt water, it needs to come at a loan, not taking from various reserves and savings elsewhere. It's a project, a discrete project in its own right that needs its own set of books and its own loan. And I sought advice yesterday as to how that would occur if the loan was taken to fund all the works, the extra works that need to be done, and the cost in the coming budget, this budget we're talking about, to do that is $244,292, plus or minus a few bucks. So that is funded. All right, so take out a reserve, a loan for the jetty, and the jetty's funded through that. Part D still sees money go into the Sport and Rec Reserve, as it was supposed to, but has to also fund the 0.8% rate reduction from 7 down to 6.2. And finally, number 3, gives the new CEO targets of where to look to find the sustainable savings that I've costed out, estimated 1.5 million, you total those all up, 1.5 million, and put those in the long-term financial plan. So for 10 years of $1.5 million savings nominally adds up to 15 million, but because of the time value of money, you have to apply the WA Treasury discount rate, and it comes back to 10 million in today's dollars. So the ratepayers, I think, should be very happy because they're getting a slight saving in a 0.8 down from 7.7 down to 6.2, 0.8% rate, and they're getting the commitment from the council to generate $10 million worth of savings. Surely, when people's property values have gone up in this very well-governed society, 30, 40, 50 grand this year, rural UVs have gone up over 10%. So there's, you know, this is a good place to live. And we've got to fund the kids in the sport and rec, and we can do that by, we have to start looking at our spending in other areas. So these are the areas, the public open space, there's about 11 million bucks in public open space expenditure. There is, hang on, I've got some figures here that I was provided with today. I've got the pristine areas are arguably overserviced and enough is done for tourists in all of our beautiful parks and gardens and the whole, that's 20 million bucks actually. 20 million bucks goes into doing all those parks and gardens and foreshores and things like that. 20 million bucks. So we can get back 640 of that, except for the sporting ovals, which is about 1.8.
Councillor McNish, you're out of time.
Sorry, and the other ones are there for you to look at for the aspirational targets for the new CEO. Thank you.
Councillor Ryan as seconder.
Reserve my right.
Can I ask a point of clarity? Actually,
Oh, sorry, the CEO would like to raise an issue with the alternate recommendation.
If I could just have that screen scrolled to the very first item. It says the long-term financial plan figure of 6.2% rate increase for 26-7 be adhered to. It's not in the long-term financial plan. It's currently 7%, so that clause is a problem for me. And secondly, I need to flag that for this to be a valid motion, if it was carried, we need to insert rate in the dollar. Otherwise, it's a motion without substance to carry.
Yes. I'm certainly open to taking this and putting it into the proper 3 pages worth of normal budget descriptions and details. But yes, the long-term financial plans figures will need to change, and the rate increase of a 6.2% has been modelled, as we've heard tonight. So I believe that all those figures and the details can come straight out of the officer's recommendation. And in fact, I allude in number 2 to the balance of the officer's recommendation be agreed to, except for where these matters, as listed, will override it. Thank you.
Do I have a speaker for?
I just wanted a point of clarification, if I may, on item 3. from probably Councillor McNish, but also,
Item 3, we've got
yeah, well, it's
5.
written as 5, but
Right.
given the numbering system, it should be 3, I believe. And I'd like the advice from the CEO as well. With this wording, this is a target, so it's not that every year we would have to, like, say if a motion gets up from council, you have to revoke the motion if you go against anything in that motion. Is the wording in this flexible enough that we're working towards that target of achieving these cost savings as proposed by Councillor McNish? Yeah, I thought so, but-
I haven't seen this before, just before the meeting started today. The way I'm interpreting this is that the City of Busselton's long-term financial plan be recast, and it's not actually, but this is a budget session, not the long-term financial plan. I need to make that point. On the approved 26-27 budget, and I'm presuming that's to be on the 6.2% model, so I think that needs to be clear, because otherwise we've got numbers. I can't substantiate or make comment on those 1, 2, 3 or 4 about the ability to do that. It's the role of the council to determine those numbers, but if you're asking me for the veracity of those, I can't.
No, I was just asking about the wording of showing a target reduction in net annual operating costs. Do you, in your experience as being a CEO, believe that that wording is like flexible in the fact that if we say achieved 500,000 for public open space service, we wouldn't be falling short of what the motion says because...
Might be putting the CEO on the spot a bit without...
Sorry, we all got
Consider
put
it.
on the spot, didn't we, with these foreshadow alternatives?
The interpretation I would have is that these are the targets for the 27-28 position. Then the council would then decide post that. It doesn't say save 640,000 and then another 640,000 plus each year. It's saying to me, the 27-28, the target is to reduce public open space, and there's a service review being done now. Target is 640, and then facilities 60, transport network 550, culture and arts. Again, I can't comment on the ability to achieve those targets.
Thank you.
Point of clarification, if I may, is a question. The fact that that council has resolved to conduct a service review into public...
I think I'm being fairly lenient and allowing points of clarification. I think we might just need to let this alternate play out in debate, because otherwise we are literally going to be here all night, because there is a lot to this alternate recommendation, and I think if we answer everyone's questions, we'll be here all night. So I think we're just going to keep going. I'm going to reopen the debate. Thank you, councillors. So I'm asking for a speaker for. Speaker against. Councillor Mueller.
Well, perhaps you guys are trying to demonstrate your your proposed 3.5% increase. Having gone through this process so far and looked at a few different things and not been able to come to agreement, if I'm allowed, I would like to...
Sorry, Councillor Mueller, I have just been advised by our Director of Finance that actually this alternate motion is not valid because there is no rate in the dollar listed in this alternate motion. Therefore, it will not be valid if it is carried by the council. So we may have to...
Can I still continue my debate?
Sorry, well, debate might have to cease on this motion until we resolve this issue. So if you just give me a minute.
So what do you say? Yeah, so what's under here?
So no, so we've got a whole new motion that looks completely different to that. That has all the points 2, point 3, point, all the other points about the fees and charges and rates and whatever. So we can let this play out, but then
We need another motion for the motion.
because it won't actually it's not
Okay.
adopting the budget.
If I could make the point that I'm just being advised. If this is carried, we still have to have another motion for the rates in the dollar and the budget to be adopted. So this doesn't get, I don't think this gets Councillor McNish where he wants to be.
Councillor McNish, just give us a moment to consider, because we're not in debate currently, we're just considering whether this is a valid notice of motion, valid alternate recommendation.
Personal explanation then. Personal explanation.
We're not currently in debate. Are you bringing that up in the standing orders? We're not currently in debate. We need to take some advice on whether this alternate recommendation is valid for the budget to be adopted.
This motion does not adopt the budget. For the budget to be adopted, this needs to be carried, and you need the rate in the dollar that reflects these.
That's acceptable. I believe that because as I said before, because 6.2 rate increase has been modelled, there are the rate in the dollar information to be put to the council and adopted. The budget doesn't get set on one single motion. It's a suite of motions of which this is one. If you would like me or another council member to move an amendment to include the specific 6.2 rates in the dollar, that would be fine. But I do know that the purpose of this meeting was not restricted to not include this, and that the budget, because there is no stated purpose of this meeting, by the way, and there is the ability for what I've been talking about to input, because I've alluded to the officers, if you scroll down, I've alluded in part number 1 to the officers, part number 2, the balance of the officer recommendation we agreed to, which is the budget. So I'm asking for some assistance to construct this as a viable, or add it to the other suite of budget notices to get the budget adopted.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McNish. We will continue to play out this alternate recommendation. However, councillors, please be aware that if you're in agreement with this, that this does not constitute adopting the budget, that there will have to be additional work done to do that. So, Councillor Mueller, if you want to continue your debate.
Yeah. If I'm allowed, now that we've been through this process, I'd like to foreshadow an alternative, which is the officer recommendation of 6.2% where we started with. Am I allowed to do that?
We have to let this alternate play out. If this alternate is, yes, you are. You may foreshadow. If this alternate is lost, you may then put up your alternate.
I'd just like to foreshadow that.
Would you like to speak against?
No.
Okay. Do I have a speaker?
Point of order.
Councillor Kennedy.
Question for clarity.
Again, I'm just conscious of time in terms of answering points of clarification.
Yes, understood, Madam Chair. I want to also reconfirm, because that original substantive motion was lost at 6.2%, does it still mean we can revisit it?
This is a question for the governance staff.
The council can, by absolute majority, rescind. No, we didn't get a decision. No.
There was no decision made on it, so we believe that it can be reconsidered.
Yeah.
But I think we will just allow this alternate recommendation to play out, and then we will determine what the next steps will be after that. Okay, do I have a speaker for? Do I have a speaker for? Councillor Ryan.
I can move an amendment to include the rate in the dollar figure, and then that should bring this into line, which is Councillor McNish's intent.
I will have to defer to the Director of Finance to answer that question.
Yeah, I'll just have to ask, Liam, could you please write up an amendment motion, which is to include the rates in the dollar for a 6.2% increase and the required table, which shows the difference between, so 0.2 and 3. If you can move an amendment, which is to include points 2 and 3 into this recommendation from the officer recommendation, actually put them in there.
Is there a seconder for that amendment before we...
Show it on the screen if that's okay.
I apologise, this is quite complex to insert this amendment into this alternate recommendation.
2 and 3.
We are running our money now.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Councillor Kennedy, is it a point of order?
Well, I guess I'm just wanting to speak. Well, it'll be a question while these guys are
A
working.
point of clarification?
Yes, the motion to be put. Can that be put during? Well, we've got to do this amendment now. I understand, and then do it.
Madam Chair, a councillor has moved an amendment. That amendment hasn't been compiled and put on the screen, and therefore there is no motion to be put.
Yeah. We're just dealing with Councillor Ryan's amendment to the alternate recommendation at this point. We are waiting to see that amendment, and then we're waiting to see if she has a seconder for that amendment.
Point of order. Is this an amendment or is this substantially change the motion?
It's the same.
It's an amendment.
It's adding what was 6.2 in the original draft document that was circulated to elected members. Councillor McNish put some clauses in front, and Councillor Ryan has now added in what was in the 6.2 proposal.
You are.
Okay, is staff satisfied that that is on the amendment is on the screen? Councillors, do I have a seconder for that amendment from Councillor Ryan? Councillor McNish? Councillor Ryan, would you like to speak to your amendment?
I think it makes complete sense. The intent of Councillor McNish is just to bring it back to 6.2 as was the officer's recommendation, with a few strengthening clauses and some cost savings. And I think the community would be quite happy with those cost savings. Thank you.
Councillor McNish, would you like to speak to the amendment as seconder?
Just briefly, thank you, Madam Chair. That was the intent. Thank you, Councillor Ryan, for moving the amendment. The modelling is not an easy exercise, and it takes days and days to pump all this stuff out, which is why the long-term financial plan and discussions of budget have been going for a long time. So here we are. We grabbed the 6.2, which means obviously means quite a bit to some of the councillors here when they were pursuing 6.2 in the debate before. And as Councillor Ryan noted, I'm just seeking to tidy things up, especially for saltwater, and identify the aspirational savings, targets, guides for the CEO and putting those in the long-term financial plan. So we honour the community submissions. Not just a 1 year savings, but 10 years. That's what we're striving for. And the new CEO is going to come in and work to that. Okay, thank you.
Do I have a speaker for the amendment? Do I have a speaker against? Councillor Adams?
Is this for just the whole amendment of Councillor Ryan?
No, this is just the amendment that Councillor Ryan has added in to Councillor McNish's alternative. Do I have a speaker for the amendment? Speaker against? If not, I will therefore put the amendment. All those in favour? Against? So against is Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Cox. For is Councillor Dykstra, Councillor Ryan, Councillor Adams, Councillor Love and Councillor McNish and Councillor Mueller. The amendment is accepted. We will now revert back to the alternate recommendation. And we are up to a speaker against the alternate recommendation. I will rise to speak against the alternate recommendation. I agree with that. It looks like we will probably, well, actually, I don't really agree with the 6.2% because I was in favour of the 5.9. However, it looks like the majority of the elected members seem to have landed on 6.2. Therefore, I do support the 6.2%. I haven't had time to look at the ramifications of the rest of this notice of motion. It came to light literally today, and other councillors have already pointed out that when you don't get enough time to properly digest something, it is dangerous to support it. Therefore, I cannot, in all consciousness or good governance, support the rest of this alternate recommendation. I would be happy to go back to the original staff recommendation because I don't actually know what the ramifications are of some of these additional things that Councillor McNish has added in, and that always, whilst on the surface it might look innocuous enough, if you delve into the detail, I think you might find that this causes more than 1 or 2 headaches for the city, and I'm not cognisant of what the ramifications are, and I think I would need a lot longer to digest what's happening, and actually I would prefer that it came up separately as a notice of motion at some point in time so that the staff had time to answer questions and provide a response rather than just doing it on the fly in the middle of an annual budget meeting. So, councillors, I think if you support this, just be cognisant of what you might be supporting. I would urge you to not support this notice of motion, this alternate recommendation, sorry. Do I have a speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Adams.
Thank you. I am speaking against this motion, but I don't have any real problems with the actual format that Councillor McNish has put in. I think it's actually very good, but I think it's a bit complicated for the budget. Thank you for coming down to 6.2, Councillor McNish. I think you've read the room very well, and I actually support what you've put in here, but I don't know if I support it at budget level. I think that's something that we can deal with after the budget, but I'm talking against it, but I don't know which one I'm going to vote yet. So sounds a bit strange. So I need more, because I'm learning this, I need to hear the full debate. But I think your ideas are great, and it's the idea of saving money, and I think you spend a lot of time where we can save the money, so I think that's a great idea. Sounds like I'm supporting you, doesn't it, mate? And I might be, but I'm not sure. I just think that we're overcomplicating it at the moment. I think we should get the 6.2 rate rise through, which would be the original officer recommendation, which I'd like a little bit less than that, but that's not going to be the case. So we have listened to the people, and hopefully we can get it through. But I speak against this on the fact that I just don't know the ramifications of it all without actually. I'd like to debate each one of them individually at a later date. But like I said, I still might vote for you, Councillor McNish.
Do I have a speaker for? Speaker against?
Actually,
Councillor Love is...
I'll be speaking for only briefly. Look, I understand the, I guess, angst in the room from some councillors. As I noted before, whenever any councillors or elected members send in alternatives of this degree or the prior foreshadowed alternative and do not circulate it to councillors before time, it does make it very difficult to make your decisions on the run of the meeting. But I must say, having read Councillor McNish's, because at least he did circulate it about 40 minutes or so ago, that as Councillor Adams said, you don't want to overcomplicate the annual budget, but when you look at your annual budget, we've got literally part 1, 13 points. It's pretty complicated as it is. And I can see that Councillor McNish has gone and put in the work of trying to find the cost savings for future years. Okay, it's not set in stone, which I prefer. It's a target for our acting CEO and soon our new to be CEO to work towards. A lot of those cost savings have been things that particularly the public open space, has been something that I have queried in the past during budget briefing sessions. And I am quite comfortable setting these targets for us to cost save, as that was a significant issue raised within the rate submissions. And it was quite tedious to go through and time consuming to go through and read all 750 submissions. But time and time again, I did come across, how are you going to try and reduce spending? Well, Councillor McNish has done the work to try and put in how he thinks the council can reduce spending. And as we know, when the long-term financial plan comes up and the annual budget comes up yearly, we can go through this whole debate and debacle again on, okay, we might need to rejig this, or we might have even found another service that we could reduce cuts to, especially with the upcoming service level review. But I do think that this is a good targets to start working towards. And I just cannot keep on justifying us raising the rates without actually trying to reduce spending as well. So that's why unless somebody sways me within the rest of the debate, will be voting in favour of this recommendation. Thank you.
Speaker against. Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you. I'll speak against, and hopefully I will sway Councillor Love and Councillor Adams. So point number 2A, we are seeing 157K going towards IT. Well, we did discuss this in the workshop and we did put extra funds to address the IT department. So we've already done that. So this money now is coming from the Jetty Maintenance Reserve, and there's more money going into IT, which we hadn't discussed that. Also, I'm not sure where the BDEMP money is I don't think there's any increase to the BDEMP funds now. So it seems like the municipal rates, residential rates, are funding the business and industrial community. Points 2B and 2C, we've had this debate several times, and to agree to these would just go back on those debates that we've had long ago. So the Saltwater Asset Management Reserve, we have a building reserve that covers all of our building and our infrastructure. Within that, we have light items that will be addressed to salt water, and you can determine how much salt water is costing you there. The loan, we're going to get a loan. Well, we mentioned of hurt by not rating 7%. Well, when we get a loan, that's hurt right there. It's going to cost us more money rather than just borrowing from reserves that have that purpose. You're allowed to do that. The next one, point 3, well, this, as the CEO mentioned, this isn't a LTFP workshop. This is a budget. This is to decide the budget, not to look at these things. So it mentions to reduce public open space and 4 other things there, but we are currently doing a service level review. So this point 3 is predetermining what the results of that service level review is. So no, that's not a good idea to pass that one. So I would be advising all councillors to not vote for this, and I believe the advice was that we would be looking at 6.2%, which would be the next one coming through. So I'd be advising don't vote for this, and then we'll be having another 6.2% one coming forward.
Are you foreshadowing another alternative?
Well, I thought can I?
Oh, you've already foreshadowed? Thank you. Councillor Mueller has already foreshadowed.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kennedy, speaker for. Speaker against. I will now close debate and I will put the motion
Do I have my
or
right
the
of
alternate
reply?
recommendation. Oh, sorry, right of reply. Sorry, Councillor McNish. Councillor Ryan. It's been a very long evening. I apologise.
It has. I absolutely agree with Councillor McNish that the saltwater is its own cost centre. As I said before, I believe that the saltwater is a massive sinkhole, and we need to be clear, concise, open and honest, which is a mantra of local government, on what saltwater looks like in the future. I don't consider that taking a loan is inappropriate. It shows, and it will show in the future, how much is being spent and how much income will be brought about in the future. I think it's important, and Councillor Adams, welcome to local government. This is why we earn the big bucks, debates like this, and it is every councillor's right to bring in an alternate motion at a late stage or whatever. So I don't think that the argument that we don't understand is appropriate, because it's happened plenty of times before. I think it's clear, it's absolutely crystal clear what Councillor McNish is trying to do with this motion, and I think, can you just scroll up or down, whatever the case may be, please, Liam? Point 2 clarifies the balance of the officer's recommendation be agreed except for the following. So in other words, 6.2 with all the other things, and then these few extra things. So I'm not sure what's not clear about that. And Councillor Love is quite correct. Somebody needs to be the ideas man. Somebody needs to tell staff, and if we agree, it means the council is agreeing that that's what the staff need to do. We're giving them 3 ideas of where to do the cost savings. I applaud that. You can vary it in the future. It's not set in stone, but it's an aspiration. And in closing, I think that councillors voting against this motion will kind of say to the community, we really don't want to be open and accountable. We really don't care what the submissions said.
Councillor Ryan, that's casting aspersions on elected members. I'd ask you to withdraw that comment, please.
No, I'm happy. I'll finish up there. Thank you.
Councillor McNish, your right of reply.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I'll start with your comments because that was the order they came. too dangerous to read something now. It's half a page. This agenda is about 100 pages, 10,000 line items, something like that. Hours and hours and hours of work in the budget. So these are not strange concepts. The jetty reserve, okay?
Stick to rebuttal, please, Councillor
I'm
McNish.
rebutting your notion that this is too complex, too dangerous.
I didn't actually use the word complex.
Okay, I will remove the comment of complex. But I note your fear-mongering is unnerving to me because
Sorry, Councillor McNish, that's a personal comment.
Well, I withdraw that
So
as well.
you need to withdraw that comment.
With zero alternative. So don't vote for this, but no alternative. Well, okay. So there are no noms, and you did mention noms. There are no noms in special council meetings like this budget meeting. You know, I came up with this morning in my head, was in contact with the director to get figures, and finished at 25 minutes before the meeting. So why do I be penalised for trying to come up with a solution? Just because it's... And the council, to this point, after a couple of hours, hasn't come up with a solution. So why am I being penalised for
Councillor McNish, please rebut.
I'm rebutting the fact that it was handed in late and councillors are being simply urged to vote against it because it came
Not clear
late.
rebuttal. Please rebut. Directly rebut, please.
So this is a funded 6.2%. And in the run of the meeting, it's a solution. It honours the council, the community submissions. The cost savings that I've used, the areas of cost savings I've used, was in a briefing sheet circulated a month ago. Those items came off that, rated very, very highly on that sheet. The submissions clearly want us to reduce spending. And Councillor Kennedy, you note that the IT, well, we haven't talked about AI in the ICT reserve, and this specifically starts to bring in the notion of AI. So there is a point of difference. We need to see what AI is going to do, and the saltwater needs its own reserve because what's happened with saltwater and the building reserve, which it currently very, very, very much enjoys to the tune of 5 million.
Are you rebutting? Did someone comment on saltwater?
Councillor Kennedy comments on the saltwater not needing a new reserve. Well, it absolutely does, given the history, the form of saltwater taking 5 million from the building reserve and not paying it back. That just cannot happen again. All right, and reserves earn money. So borrowing at 5.2% interest rate we get on term deposit, 5.1%, minimal. Okay, so the context is the service level review are targets. As Councillor Love has correctly known, aspirational targets to give the new CEO some direction. We hope we can get there, and we'll try our hardest if this passes. Thank you very much.
Okay, I will now close debate and I will put Councillor McNish's alternative recommendation. All those in favour? Councillor McNish, Councillor Love, Councillor Ryan. All those against? Councillor Dykstra, Councillor Adams, Councillor Kennedy, Deputy Mayor Cox and Councillor Mueller. The motion is lost. We will now move to Councillor Mueller's foreshadowed alternative. If we could see that on the screen, please. Councillor Mueller, would you like to put your alternate recommendation, please?
If I might.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, Mr CEO.
I would, excuse me. Excuse me. I'd ask the council to consider that because so many things have changed on the run tonight, that the council agrees by an absolute majority to consider the proposal that the amendment, so the alternate, that Councillor Mueller has identified. I do that because there have been so many changes tonight, I don't want to get to the end of this and have a query about whether due process has been followed.
So can you just clarify? I don't quite understand what you're saying.
There have been a number of alternates moved tonight, and what I don't want is that post tonight that there's a wrinkle somewhere in this process that someone says, oh, you've moved something and it shouldn't have been put on the table. The council can, by an absolute majority, consider something it has previously dealt with. If you agree that you will consider that by an absolute majority decision, then that covers off any likelihood that there is a challenge, because the council will have, by absolute majority, determined that it's going to reconsider something.
Okay, so Mr CEO, I will put that as a motion that the council reconsider.
That the council consider the council by absolute majority consider the proposal that's being considered, going to be put forward by Councillor Mueller. That's not to adopt what he's saying, or not to adopt
That is just to agree.
It's just to agree to
that
consider
it will be
that
reconsidered.
alternate.
Okay, so can I have a mover to reconsider? Move Councillor Mueller, seconded Councillor Love. Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That is carried 8-0. Thank you, Mr CEO. We will now move on to Councillor Mueller's alternate recommendation. If you would like to put that, please, Councillor Mueller.
Yep. Don't need to spend too much time on this. It's written exactly as the original officer recommendation.
Thank you. You have a seconder. Seconded Councillor Adams. Is there any opposition? There is. Councillor Ryan, would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Mueller?
I don't wish to say anything other than...
No, sorry, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Mueller needs to speak first.
Yeah, sorry, I have nothing to say.
Point of order.
As seconder...
Oh, but can I point of order now? It'll be, point of order. And it will be to put the motion to be put.
Procedural motion has been moved by Councillor Kennedy. Do we have a seconder for the procedural motion that the motion be put? Do you have a seconder? There being no seconder, the procedural motion lapses. We go back to the alternate recommendation. Councillor Mueller, we have the seconder, Councillor Adams. Do you wish to speak?
I do.
Thank you, Councillor Adams.
Thank you. Welcome to council, everybody. I speak for this motion because we've come full circle, but it's probably been a good circle. I think we've had some great debate. We need to get this sorted out. We're listening to the people at 6.2. We've discussed 5.9, that was knocked back. We've taken 7.7 off the table, which I think is good to at least show we care. But more importantly, although we knocked back Councillor McNish's motion, there's some great points come out of that. And once we pass this budget, we can then get on to that other stuff about saving money as well. But I think it's fairly important that we get this budget passed, and 6.2 seems to be the general consensus. Everything else can be sorted out later. And I think there's some very, very good points. I know it's been a long-winded process, but I think I've learnt a lot personally. I've taken out more good stuff than bad stuff out of this, other than the fact I'm getting hungry, but I can live with that. I suppose we'll survive. So I urge everyone to pass this, and let's get 6.2 underway, and then the rest of the stuff can be discussed at general council meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Speaker against? Councillor Ryan?
Yeah, same reasons as before. I don't support it for a number of reasons. It offers no certainty for salt water. We're just going to keep on dipping into our coffers. There is no clear way forward. I'm just wondering, Councillor Adams, how you think the staff are going to do how do they know what you or we think if we don't give them any ideas?
Can I have a point of order there? Can I answer that or not? I'm not allowed to.
No, we're in debate. Councillor Ryan, it was a rhetorical question. Sorry, I was assuming it was a rhetorical question. Please continue.
Yeah. So, yes, I'm not supporting this. I would happily agree with the 6.2 or anything less than 7, but it still doesn't rectify all the reasons that I said before. So I'll be voting against. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor McNish.
Just quickly, that 0.5 for me is completely unacceptable. So any budget that includes 0.5 as it stands, unaltered, I'll not be able to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker for? Speaker against? I will now close debate and put the motion. All those in favour? Oh, sorry. Keep forgetting.
I don't have anything further to add.
Okay. I will now put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Dykstra, Councillor Adams, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Cox, Councillor Mueller, Councillor Love. Those against? Councillor Ryan and Councillor McNish. It is carried by absolute majority. Thank you, councillors. We're not done. Now we move on to part 2. Let's see how long this will take us. Find part 2. On the screen. Okay. So I have a mover for officer recommendation part 2, that the council reaffirms the adoption. Moved Councillor Mueller, seconded Councillor Love. Is there any opposition? There is opposition. Councillor Mueller, do you wish to speak?
We've thrashed this one out in here before, and when it came in, it was voted through by council. So I am curious to see what the opposition is, but yeah, because we've already considered this, I don't understand why it would be difficult to do it again, but I look forward to hearing the reasons.
Thank you, Councillor Love.
I'll reserve my right of reply, thank you.
Speaker against? Councillor McNish.
Well, curiosity killed the cat. I can easily kill that off easy. The previous council decision has just meant that the money for this has disappeared. That's it.
Speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Ryan.
I wasn't here the night that this was debated, and I think I told, what's your name? Councillor Dykstra, that I don't think that I supported it, and I still don't support it because it gives one group an advantage over another group of sporting people. I think the mere fact that we're giving discounts now to people, especially in light of the precarious nature of the sport and rec situation, you know, if we just keep on giving money or concessions away, we're never going to get to a regional or a district sport and leisure centre. We're just going to keep on kicking the can down the road, Councillor Adams. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Speaker for?
Yeah.
Councillor Kennedy.
Yeah, thanks. I'll speak for, mainly because I think, as Councillor Mueller said, we need to honour the previous council decisions. We can't keep revisiting things when different members are here and changing our decisions. So this decision has already been made, and I'm happy to follow through with that decision. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Speaker against? Speaker for? Okay, I will now close. Councillor Adams, it's getting in there.
I'm getting to like this. I get to say something at council. I'd just like to reaffirm that for sure, because we have discussed it, and we have. It's not like the Basketball Association is skimping on money here. They are the biggest contributor of the sporting facilities, and the money that we're giving them back is a small amount compared to what do they give us. So I don't think we are taking anything out of the sport, or we are to a certain point, but not to the stage where it's causing any worry. And I think that we owe that to them due to the fact that we just haven't got the facilities up to scratch for the amount of people they've got, and I think they deserve that little bit of a discount. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Councillor Love, you reserved your right.
I did. Gave me time to find my old debate. I'll only rehash 2 paragraphs, especially since Councillor Ryan wasn't here that night. The motion does not eliminate revenue in giving Busselton Basketball Association this 25% discount. Even with this discount, the city will continue to collect approximately $90,000 annually from Busselton Basketball Association court hire. The BBA currently contributes over $120,000 per year in total fees to council. This is not a subsidy for a non-contributing organisation. This also highlights a broader disparity in how different sporting facilities are funded and recovered. The BBBA currently pays more than $120,000 annually to use a facility that costs the city approximately just over $2 million to operate, while sporting grounds and outdoor ovals cost approximately $2 million annually. Yet council recoups only around $100,000 in total from a large number of sporting groups. In effect, one indoor user group contributes more in annual fees than council receives collectively from many outdoor oval users, despite the basketball court's inability to meet the current needs of their sporting group. And that's why I am in favour of giving the Basketball Association a discount of 25%. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Love. Councillor Mueller, your right of reply.
I'm sorry to take up more time, Madam Chair, but I really need to ask a question of clarification. There was a statement made that there's no money to fund this due to the previous decision on the budget. Is that the case? Is it so? That's false. Okay, thank you. Well, turns out the cat has 9 lives. Nothing further.
Thank you, councillors. I will now put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Dykstra, Councillor Adams, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Cox, Councillor Mueller, Councillor Love, Councillors against, Councillor Ryan, Councillor McNish. The motion is carried with an absolute majority. Thank you, councillors. And we're still not finished. We have one more section, recommendation part 3, which is on the screen. Councillors, do I have someone? Councillor Ryan, you wish to move? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Dykstra, is there any opposition? Oh, there's no opposition. Thank you. I will now put the motion. All those in favour? And that's carried 8-0 for the first time tonight, absolute majority achieved. Thank you, councillors. And that concludes the special council meeting this afternoon. It's now this evening. So I declare the meeting closed at 6:45 p.m. and we will be resuming shortly with the ordinary council meeting. Thank you for your attendance.